Inside a lab in Texas, there is a sheet of material that nobody manufactured. No oil, no furnace, no molding machine. It was grown by bacteria, feeding on sugar water inside a slowly spinning tube. Pull on it, and it resists like metal. Hold it up, and light passes through. Fold it, and it doesn't crack. Bury it, and soil microbes eat it, leaving nothing behind. The strange part isn't the bacteria. Humans have known about these microbes for almost 140 years, and for almost all of that time, they were useless for anything structural. The strange part is what finally unlocked them. Engineers stopped letting the liquid sit still, and the fix was almost absurdly simple. To understand why that matters, you have to understand what it would be replacing. Before continuing, take a second to subscribe so you don't miss anything. And let us know in the comments where you're watching from. In 1907, in a converted barn in Yonkers, New York, a Belgian-American chemist named Leo Baekeland cooked phenol and formaldehyde under heat and pressure and produced a substance that had never existed in nature. He called it Bakelite, the first fully synthetic plastic. It was cheap, moldable, and effectively indestructible. That combination rewrote the 20th century. Plastic replaced ivory, glass, steel, paper, and wood. It kept food from spoiling, made cars lighter, made surgery sterile, and made modern electronics possible. Today, the world produces roughly 460 million tons of plastic every year, more than 200 times what it made in 1950. Around 40% becomes packaging. Roughly half of everything produced is thrown away within months. No civilization has ever depended so completely on one family of materials, not as a niche, as the default. So whatever replaces it can't just be greener. It has to beat something that already works almost perfectly. And the reason it works so well is hidden in its structure. It starts underground. Oil and natural gas come out of a well and get separated. A gas called ethane is heated in a cracker furnace until the molecules break apart, producing ethylene, a small, restless molecule with a spare bond. Feed that ethylene into a reactor with a catalyst, and the spare bonds link up. One molecule grabs the next, then the next, thousands of times over. What comes out is a chain. Millions of chains tangle together like cooked spaghetti, and that tangle is the plastic. The longer the chains, the stronger the material. Those chains get pressed into pellets, shipped worldwide, remelted, and blown into bottles, films, fibers, and casings. Look around right now, the dashboard of your car, the insulation on the wires inside your walls, the IV bag in a hospital, the fleece in your jacket, the film over your groceries. All the same trick. But that carbon backbone is exactly why engineers have spent decades searching for a way out. Because nothing in nature knows how to eat it. That backbone is a bond no enzyme ever evolved to break. So plastic doesn't decompose. It fragments into pieces too small to see and far too small to collect. Researchers have now detected microplastic particles in human blood, in placentas, in lung tissue, and in brain samples. Nobody yet knows what that dose does over a lifetime, which is precisely the problem. Recycling was supposed to close the loop. It didn't. Of all the plastic ever produced, roughly 9% has been recycled, and that number has barely moved in 20 years. The reasons are unglamorous. Food residue contaminates it. Hundreds of different resins and additives can't be sorted cleanly. Every melt shortens the chains, so recycled plastic comes out weaker than the original. And worst of all, it's usually cheaper to make brand new plastic from oil than to reprocess the old stuff. Landfill and incineration absorb the rest. Production and disposal together now account for about 5% of global greenhouse emissions. So the question changes, what else could packaging even be made of? The answer may have been sitting in a vinegar barrel since 1886. That year, a British chemist named Adrian Brown was studying acetic fermentation when he noticed a thick, leathery skin forming across the surface of his culture. Vinegar makers called it the mother. Brown analyzed it and found something unexpected. It was cellulose, the same molecule that makes wood, cotton, and paper, but built by a bacterium instead of a plant. That difference matters enormously. Plant cellulose comes locked inside lignin and hemicellulose and has to be pulped and bleached out with chemicals. Bacterial cellulose comes out pure. The microbes extrude it as nanofibrils, threads thousands of times thinner than a human hair. At that scale, cellulose is astonishingly strong. Now compare the two production lines. Plastic needs drilling, cracking furnaces running at hundreds of degrees, catalysts, and pressure. Bacterial cellulose needs sugar, water, air, and time. The bacteria assemble the polymer themselves at room temperature. And because it's ordinary cellulose, soil microbes already carry the enzymes to take it apart. You've probably eaten it. It's the chewy cubes in nata de coco and the rubbery disc floating in kombucha. There was only one problem. The problem was geometry. Left alone in a shallow tray, the bacteria drift in every direction, laying fibrils wherever they happen to go. The result is a mat of tangled threads, like felt. Individually, those threads are near miraculous. Pointed randomly, most of that strength cancels itself out. What you get is a wet, floppy film. The obvious fix, stir it, made things worse. Agitate the culture hard, and the sheet tears into irregular lumps instead of forming a continuous surface. There was a second wall, too. Engineers wanted to reinforce the cellulose with nanomaterials, but the fibril network is so dense that added particles simply can't diffuse into it once the sheet exists. So, for over a century, bacterial cellulose stayed in niche roles. Wound dressings, speaker diaphragms, a dessert in the Philippines. The theory was never the problem. Everyone agreed it should be a structural material. Nobody could make it behave like one. Then, a team decided the problem wasn't the bacteria. It was the container. In 2025, researchers at Rice University and the University of Houston published their answer in Nature Communications. Led by doctoral student M.A.S.R. Sadi and engineer Maksud Rahman, the team built what they call a rotational culture device, a cylindrical, oxygen-permeable chamber with a shaft turning slowly at its center. That shaft drags the nutrient liquid into a steady circular flow. The bacteria, suspended in that current, stop wandering. They travel in one direction, and they lay their cellulose in one direction with them. The researchers describe it as guiding the bacteria to behave with purpose instead of moving randomly. The result is a sheet of aligned nanofibrils, packed far denser, with much more bonding between fibers. Tensile strength reached about 436 megapascals, comparable to some metals and glasses, while staying flexible, foldable, transparent, and stable over time. Then came the bonus. Because the alignment happens during growth, additives can just be mixed into the feed. When the team stirred boron nitride nanosheets into the broth, the bacteria wove them straight into the structure. Strength climbed to roughly 553 megapascals, and the material shed heat 3 times faster, with the alignment intact. One shaft, one rotation. A century-old dead end reopened, and that reframes the whole story. A material that is strong, transparent, heat-conducting, and grown from sugar isn't just a candidate for food wrap. Because its properties are set by what you feed the bacteria, the same process can produce sheets that are electrically conductive, or antimicrobial, or optically clear. The team points toward packaging and bottles, but also textiles, where Rahman has said he dreams of replacing cotton, plus wound dressings, green electronics, heat management inside devices, and energy storage. The bacteria aren't making a plastic substitute. they're making a platform. The distance to your grocery aisle is still real. Bacterial cellulose grows slowly, yields are low, and the nutrient media are expensive, which is exactly why it stayed a specialty product for 100 years. A spinning tube in a lab is not a factory, and plastic still costs pennies. A factory that resembles nothing like a refinery. No cracking furnaces, no towers of steel piping, no tankers of crude arriving at the gate. Just rows of slowly turning cylinders, warm, quiet, fed with sugar water and air. Inside each one, trillions of bacteria all moving in the same direction, building sheets one nanofiber at a time. The bottle in your hand would have been alive a week earlier. The film over your food would go into the compost along with the food. So, would you drink from a bottle made by bacteria?